Hey gang, so yeah, that was that was interesting. So we've got the Ironclad now, which is the new Drake Fatterpillar. So everybody who called that out in the comments, congratulations, you were correct. Let's get into this. This will be a pretty short one. So one thing I'd like to point out is that their vids are actually animated now, or their little animation things there. So this ship is pretty cool. So a lot like how I was saying that uh, or how I've said in the past that the Liberator is kind of the next logical step up from the C2. This is kind of the next logical step up from the Caterpillar. Just kind of a bigger ship. I'm going to pause it here. So you can see the size of that cargo bay is, I'd say, probably at least 3 times the Caterpillar. What is interesting about this ship, outside of the fact that they're going to have probably 2 variants, at least according to the end of the video, I'll throw it back here at the end so that you can see the picture of that. Yeah, so that thing's definitely upgunned. A lot like the Caterpillar, though, the Ironclad, and I guess Liberator, too, very much undergunned. So you're going to need escorts for this big bad thing. Guesses it costs. That thing is chonky, so I'm going to say probably 500 to 600 range at least. That is a big ship. One thing I want to point out before I move on here. So this right here is the same command module or command center for the Caterpillar. At least it looks like it from that image. So you can actually have a Caterpillar in this thing and have that little sort of breakaway vehicle going between the two, would be my guess, being that it's even the same manufacturer. I would assume it's the same sort of sub vessel, and if I were CIG, I would not be shocked if they were to release this, the command module, as a separate ship eventually, as kind of a miniature exploration ship, because I mean, it is 2 decks. It's got living space for, I think, 3 to 4 people. Got a shoilet, got a little bit of storage, I would say. Would not be surprised if that's there. One interesting thing about them dropping this, which is their first large ship at Invictus, and again, I'll point out, it's a cargo ship, not a combat ship. So that holds true for Invictus, that usually we don't get combat ships. Usually we don't get large ships. This one obviously is very large. What is interesting about this one is the fact that it's a big Drake ship and it's the next step for the Kraken. Drake should move along pretty quickly because they have a pretty well-established style guide. What that suggests to me is, I've been theorizing for a while that after RSI, the next ship manufacturers that they would probably tackle is MISC, because there's a lot of ships that are outdated in the MISC lineup, almost all of them, and they have a lot of interesting ships that are kind of the next pieces of specific game loops, like mining and refining and engineering and exploring. They have ships like that. Drake is like half a step behind them, because the Cutlass, even though it had a rework back in 2016 or 17, is still a very dated ship. The Caterpillar is a very dated ship. So they could go through and kind of do the same thing that they're doing with RSI with Drake, build this, which is kind of the next step to making the Kraken a much easier ship to make. Just make like modern style guide for Drake. That seems to be what this is suggesting, is they wouldn't be rolling out this concept now if they weren't planning on tackling Drake relatively soon. So Drake owners out there, Drake fans, take heart with that. Would I buy one of these? Yeah, probably. I mean, honestly, I'm a total ship whore, so yeah, obviously I'm probably going to get one. Again, this one, undergunned. You are going to need escorts. I would suggest getting the military version, which I would assume is going to be in the $650 to $700 range. So yeah, don't spend money you don't have. Other than that, looks really great. Want to give a quick shout out to James the Killjoy, and I'm going to pin his comment on the Drake speculation vid because he was the first one to call the Fatterpillar. I thought that that was just a fan made. Oh, there's a good vision of the command module, which just breaks off right there, just like the Caterpillar. But anyway, James the Killjoy, you called it, dude. Nice job. Yeah, it's not quite, it doesn't quite look like that Fatterpillar concept, but I actually like this better. Very similar to the Liberator. It would, to the point where I might shift the Liberator to one of these just because this is self-contained. The downside is that this one is self-contained, which means that you don't have the same variety of ships. Like on those two landing decks on top of the Liberator, you could land something bigger. You have that option provided it's narrow enough to fit in that space. With this ship, you won't have that option. And that's all I got for this one, gang. Thanks for sticking around. Catch you next time.